Arsenal closing in on a deal for Jurrien Timber, a bid of 30 million billion pounds has been made. Ajax are holding out for 50 million, but this is advancing. This is a deal almost conducted under the veil of secrecy. I'm joined by Jessica Black tonight. She will look up at the camera in a moment and smile for you all.
I'm sending out a tweet telling people that we're live.
But yes, we're live. Arsenal deal close, deal advancing for Jurrien Timber from Ajax. An exclusive from David Ornstein. I want your thoughts. I want your feeling on this right now. This is what it states, that Arsenal are working on a deal to sign a defender Jurrien Timber from Ajax and have submitted a proposal worth around 30 million. Ajax are seeking in the region of 50 million for Timber, who has 2 years left on his contract at Ajax. Firstly, Jess, your reaction to this news. Nobody's been talking about this. We know how good a player he is. This is one from completely, fans are completely in the dark, the media completely in the dark. But give me your instant reaction.
My instant reaction is, I told y'all earlier, wait until things actually cook before you have like outlandish reactions to things, because we don't know what's going on in the window. We haven't even been linked to him at all. Earlier, I was like, well, maybe we'll go for Cancelo. We've been linked to other people. Meanwhile, they've been working on this deal. They've gotten all the way to the point where personal terms are pretty much done. They're putting in bids. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm ecstatic. I like that, we're trying to get Declan Rice done, Havertz done, center back / right back done. And it's just like 2 weeks into the window. Like, I'm ecstatic. But this just goes to show that, 1, we don't know everything. 2, you need to be patient. And 3, just because you don't hear things doesn't mean that Arsenal are not working on anything. I saw in the first 2 days of the window, because people weren't hearing anything. Oh, we're not doing anything. Edu, he's out in Mykonos. How could he work when he's out in Mykonos? You guys, just relax for a minute. But in terms of the player, I have to be honest, I haven't watched him a lot. I know that he's talented because I've heard that he's talented, but I haven't watched him enough to I'm not even about to sit here and lie and say I've been watching the Eredivisie every single day.
Yeah.
But he seems to be like a center back / right back type of option, which is exactly what Arsenal need. We were looking at Simican from RB Leipzig, and he also plays both positions. And if Jurrien Timber does that, then as long as he's talented, he can play out of the back, he has the technical ability, then I feel like we're going in the right direction. But you guys were heavily linked to him. You tell me a little bit about him.
But listen, he has the versatility that's already been mentioned. He can play centre back, he can play right back. He's not the tallest, but we all know that just because you aren't 6'6", that it doesn't make you instantly this bad centre back. People predict that with Lisandro Martinez. Man United wanted him. A lot of Man United fans still do. And they thought maybe this summer we would move into that space. I think because it was a good season for both the low and AWB, because Lisandro's done so well, and the priorities of striker, the priorities of midfield and goalkeeper. I think that's why we're not looking at the individual. But there's obviously been an area of synergy in terms of the talent idea of both our managers, because there's been a number of players this summer and last summer that both are linked to. Mason Mount, that we've then gone for, that you guys wanted. Of course, there was Lisandro Martinez, who you wanted, that we ended up getting. This time round, it looks as though one of our other targets, Jurrien Timber, you're working towards landing and bringing in to the Emirates Stadium. And I think, from my point of view, there is definitely a sense of disappointment. But listen, can play out from the back, good power, good speed, wonderful positioning. The fact he can play 2 roles at a young age is really key, because he understands, I think, being able to play right back can help a centre back and vice versa. If you can play both roles right, you know how to position yourself as a centre back, where to be to ensure you're not in the way of your fullback. You make sure you're not getting dragged out of position, because you know and understand both areas of that defense. So this could be a phenomenal piece of business for Arsenal. And as you said at the top of the video, from my point of view, I feel like too many negative Nellies, too many Lee Gunners, as I would call them, have been too angry far too quickly this summer. I think it's a default reaction because maybe you're not getting the players that you want, or you're not moving fast enough. But remember, McAllister's been signed. Jude Bellingham's done. Outside of that, what other business has really been done at the major clubs in Europe as of now? The international breaks are now over, so expect to see things accelerate. But the quality of a Jurrien Timber and maybe bringing him in, look, they want 50, you bid 30. Let's say you end up picking him up for 40 million pounds. That is a phenomenal piece of business, considering last year, Manchester United were being quoted 60 million plus, if my memory serves me right. So you're picking him up a lot cheaper, got time on his side, great talent, wonderful footballing ability. And as I say, he can play right back and he can play centre back. So it gives you cover. I think he has the ability to try and work his way into your first team. And it gives you great competition as well, because Gabriel and Saliba are looked at as your number one centre back partnership. Can he break into that? Maybe, maybe not. He can play in that right back role. And you were talking about earlier on today on the show about where Kai Havertz would be used and how Partey was moved into a right back position last year. Maybe this is it, a ball playing centre back that can play right back. Maybe that's the role in the mind's eye of Mikel Arteta he has for Jurrien Timber that would maybe fit into that perfectly. So that there's lots of quality about him. There's a brilliant footballer in there. And I'm not going to lie, as a Man United fan, I'm jealous that you're going for him. And you seem to be, listen, remember, bids only go in when players have already agreed on personal terms. So you can bet your bottom dollar that your football club has done the groundwork on the player. He's happy to come to Arsenal. That this could be a phenomenal piece of business for you, Jess. It really could.
Yeah, I was just reading to see what Fabrizio was going to follow up with. I have to say, like, in terms of the Fab versus Ornstein battle that happens every single window, Ornstein is slapping him up. Like, he's got him. He's slapping him up this window. But, he's saying basically the same thing. And so obviously there's a middle ground that needs to, happen in terms of the fee. But this goes to show, like, every single time that like a team usually goes in for a player, they go in a little bit lower. And so, you guys have already dealt with him. I know you guys have the European lad. I think he calls himself, like, he's an Ajax person. He's already, crying about the fee and all this kind of stuff. There will need to be a compromise, obviously. But if the player's interested in the move and Arsenal are willing to come up a little bit and they're willing to compromise, then we could probably get him. But seems like he fits the criteria for the role that we were looking at. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens, but I'm excited. I like at least knowing the club is working and they're trying to get things done quickly, because remember, we were talking about this earlier, that even though we petered out at the end of the season, starting off quickly and doing well from the beginning can be very, very useful, when you're trying to qualify for things and stuff like that. So I think I like that Arsenal are trying to get the business done early. That's really important, I think.
110%. And I think that listen, all of our clubs have put bids in or inquiries in. I feel like as fans, we're always more harsh on our own club than we are rivals, typically. And that makes a lot more sense because we want the best. I'm a parent and I'm far more hard on my children. I don't really care what any other children do as long as it don't impact my kids. I remember being at school and teachers would always tell off the smarter kids if they were being naughty more than the less able, I suppose, because they saw such a potential future in them. And so I think when we look at our own clubs and we see our potential, what we could achieve, there's always that desire for perfection and brilliance. And you want all your transfers done in the opening week of the transfer window so you can relax for the rest of the summer. But that's not really the reality, with dozens of other teams chasing your players, budgets to balance, players that, there's curveballs that come in. There might be a player that walks up to Arteta or phones Arteta next week that says, I've decided I'm with my family and I want to move country. I want to go to another club. And then you have to start to manage that situation. So there's so many complexities that happen that I think sometimes fans, I think sometimes we're all guilty of kind of dumbing the situation down, making it really, really simplistic and easy. And like it's a game of FIFA, and it's not always as simple as that. And a few people are asking Jurrien Timber, who you all know who Jurrien Timber is. Like, let's not even be asking that question there. It's crazy. But as we say, David Ornstein breaking this news tonight. And I think what you said there, listen, I don't like to split hairs when it comes to who the biggest and the best is, but Ornstein for me is just, he's an absolute goat. He's an absolute goat when it comes to this stuff. And
Yeah.
typically when he tweets about something, there's often a very good chance of these things happening, a very high chance, high probability of things coming off here. But I want to go to some of the comments that are coming through from the viewers. Broke and I came here, knew you would be on it. Thank you, T-Man. I appreciate that. This is, I agree with Jess. Edu and Arteta have done enough to be trusted. This was the number one defender Ten Hag wanted last summer. No one saw this coming, and they didn't. And I think that's a real testament, as you say, to brilliant work being done by Arsenal.
Arteta took Lisandro Martinez like personal. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. This might be one for Arteta and one for Ten Hag.
Yeah, 110%. I think that's the thing. It's look, I like a bit of competition like this. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. I sort of look at it from that point of view, and I'm sure over the years, we'll take some, you'll take some, and whatever else. But viewers, we want to get your take. We want to know what you think and feel about this potential deal for Arsenal in the comments section now. Make sure the like button is being hit. Make sure you are subscribing as well. Totally Carl here says you are making me horny. That's actually very good. That's actually a very good pun.
That is good.
And I'm sure, I don't know David Ornstein at all, but I'm sure he's got a sense of humor and would find that to be funny, because I think it's funny, but maybe that's just me. Let's get to some more of your comments that are coming through here. Is close a stretch, though? See, I don't think it is. And do you want to know why I don't think saying close is a stretch? Yes, they want 50 and you've bid 30, but the first bids are always relatively low. But the fact that you're bidding stereotypically means that personal terms are agreed and the player wants to join. Typically, that is what that means. So if personal terms are agreed, the first official bid is in, I'm sure you're going to increase on the next one. I would say it's close, because and the way I define close isn't it's a day away from being accepted. I think that's often again, it's too basic. I look at close as being, what do you have to do to get a deal done? You have to make contact, agree personal terms, ensure that he's for sale, get all your ducks in a row, then start negotiating with the club. Then you start putting in official bids. Once an official bid is accepted, it's literally medical, sign the paperwork, you're done. So if you look at the stages of a transfer, not based on my logic, based on the way the football transfer gurus tweet about it and give us information, when you put official bids in, you must be goddamn close, because we've learned already this summer. Just look at Man United and Kane. Because we know they're not going to accept any bids that we're willing to pay, we've walked away. We didn't even make a bid. So we're not even near the bidding process. So, yes, I would definitely say that the situation is close when you look at the way transfers are broken down. So, yeah, I think it absolutely is, categorically is. But look, everybody's going to have a different view, different opinion, and a different take on that. Let me know what yours is. Let's have a look here. Ornstein doesn't actually report unless it's very advanced. Yeah, and
that's
and again,
how I feel about it too. Yeah,
very advanced, close. Again, it's all semantics, really, but that's just my take on it there. No one will tease you about supporting the right team because of Jess. Just revert, mate. Again, with all due respect, I'll be respectful to all the teams that we cover on the Football Terrace, but I'm never for the life of me going to swap teams. That would be a real beta move, and that is not what I am. I swear, just deal close to everyone now at the moment. But you are close. Arsenal are close to Rice, Havertz, and Jurrien Timber. All three of those deals are exceedingly close to happening. They're all at the official bid stage. The second bids are going to be coming in for them. Personal terms, in my opinion, are agreed with all of them, or where they will be. You can't be more. You are very close. You're literally where that is. We're going to bring KJ on to have his say. KJ is going to be gutted because I know KJ wanted Timber at Manchester United this summer. KJ joins us now. Give me your thoughts on that, mate. Big news for Arsenal. Big player potentially on his way and very advanced.
Yeah, man. I'm good, man. Like, not just because United aren't signing him. I know it's going to be difficult with us. We have keeping Delo and Wan-Bissaka to get him, but going to a rival and going to a team like Arsenal who are progressing, who are getting better, and have a role pretty much made for him in that right back slot where Ben White plays. I'm just like, nah, man, he's gonna cook, man. Like he will cook. The way that he plays, I love his speed, the recovery pace that he's got. I love how he can dribble as well. Surprisingly for a centre back, he's actually very good at dribbling, and the way that he can pass as well. Like in that inverted right back slot, he's gonna do so well. I believe he's a brilliant signing. I wanted him at United. I wanted him over one of Delo and AWB. And now Arsenal have got a player that can compete with Ben White, who could potentially push him out of the team and keep him honest. That only makes Arsenal better. The competition is going to be good. He can also cover at centre back if needed. Obviously, he's not the tallest. He's almost the same height as Lisandro Martinez, if not a little bit taller. So he's not maybe Arsenal's first choice centre back player, but he can cover there at least. And now that means you can potentially move Ben White back into centre back if that's something that they're looking at doing. It just gives Arsenal so much more options in that defensive line. Whereas last season you saw they relied on holding. You had to wait for Kivior to come into form. Tomiyasu's injury prone.
Yeah.
So he just gives them a different dimension in that defensive line. And yeah, man. Damn, what? Why, man? Why Arsenal? Why? I've ordered
Do you know what I would say as well? Like back to the point we said earlier on in the stream, Jess. You said that Partey was moved into that right back role. You kind of see that maybe this is the Partey replacement, and I say that and
like loosely.
Yeah, it's loose. Yeah, exactly. Sometimes the replacement isn't a like for like player. Sometimes they play the same position, but they're a different profile. Michael Carrick was the Roy Keane replacement. They're completely different styles of midfielders, but he was the replacement. You're never going to be able to, maybe you can't replace Partey like for like with a better version of Partey. So there's a rethink. Maybe it's a case of, right, we need, as KJ just said, brilliant dribbling, brilliant pace, brilliant on the ball. That is perfect, as you say, for an inverted right back who's going to cover in those central areas as well as be defensively sound at right back, freeing up and giving more space for the new midfielder who's going to be far more advanced than Kai Havertz to be dangerous where Arteta believes he's going to be dangerous. And that's the thing. There's more than one way to skin a cat. And maybe this is all part of the master plan that's going on there right now.
Yeah, like this coming from Sam Dean. He was saying that Arsenal have been looking for a versatile right back who can tuck into midfield. And he's been Jurrien Timber has been top of the list for weeks. And it's a key part of squad planning to add a Zinchenko type player on the other side. And that's what I was saying even like earlier. It's like, it's not really that hard to imagine that we're just going to invert on the other side or have the option to do so. And, if you do that and you have like somebody like Kivior on the other side or Gabriel on the other side or Tomiyasu, then you can have the likes of like Havertz and Odegaard and these guys playing those 10-8 roles because they'll be supported with really good defensive options behind them. So it's interesting. Like, yeah, I don't know what to say. Like, I love these. These are the best. Like, I hate sagas. Like, sagas suck. Like, I hate the Declan Rice situation so much because it's just like, this is great. Hopefully we can get it wrapped up soon.
No, I totally get where you're coming from. We had this a few years ago at Man United. The player didn't work out how he wanted, but we were all sitting there. It was a Saturday evening, and suddenly all this, and it was from a random journalist who, by the way, I've never seen again since, who broke the news about Donny van de Beek. And it was out of the blue. Nobody expected it, and there was this massive buzz around. It's really interesting as well what you said there, because obviously tomorrow 3:30, I'm live with Lee Gunner. Lee spoke about how he kind of doesn't like Zinchenko because he's a fullback first and he can't defend. And he spoke about how Pep Guardiola started praising how the likes of Ake, for instance, have gone to those fullback roles. And now they have people that are defensively sound. They've kind of gone up another level. That's what Jurrien Timber is, in my opinion. He is someone that's going to play in that right back role. What their role looks like varies because a Trent fullback is very different from maybe a Timber fullback under Arteta. But you're bringing somebody in comparison to Zinchenko, who is defensively, in my opinion, superior, or what we've seen so far of him in an Ajax shirt or playing for the Netherlands. He plays for, right? I was about to say it, and then I thought, it ain't Belgium, is it? No, it is the Netherlands that he plays for. That I've seen him in. So, look, I think this is a phenomenal piece of business, and when you couple it together with the new deals that you've been signing, and this is why you have to look at the whole picture. All the players are signing up to new deals. The Saka's, Odegaard is on the way, Saliba's is done. You know, you're then adding Declan Rice as an example. Lavia could be on his way. Timber. It's quality ballers, great energy. Arsenal are going up a level, in my opinion.
Hopefully, hopefully
Yes.
that's what we need. That's what we need. We need to go up another level. And I know people are like, well, how do these players that aren't really, world-class players, how they're going to take you up a level? It's no different than, replacing the likes of Aubameyang and Lacazette and these guys with Saka and Martinelli. Get energy, get players that fit the system, players that are hungry, and a lot of good things can happen. That's how I think of it.
Most certainly can. We've got some super chats here. First one says, it's what I was saying, new contracts, new signings. Arsenal have done more than any club. Arteta has a plan and it's going quickly through it. I think that's very true. I said it to Jess, Arsenal got these ITKs in the dark. Yeah, they have about some things and then not others. That the thing you got to remember is when it's a saga or multiple clubs are interested in a player, you can't keep it behind closed doors. You can't. It's impossible because there is a reason to leak information. But this may just be very, very different. So yeah, absolutely on this deal. Rice, Timber, Havertz to sign. Maybe Pepe out for 85 million. Pepe for 85 million. Where's he going? Partey and Xhaka are potentially sold. Add Caicedo and one more player, like an out-and-out goal scorer or backup right winger. And I'd say amazing transfer window. What do you make of that, Jay? You're on mute, Malcolm.
Maybe Pepe out for 85 million. Is that what I'm saying? Oh, all of them all together, correct?
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, I would say like Havertz and Rice, Timber would be great. And then one other player, maybe another midfielder, like they're saying, like Caicedo or Lavia. Yeah, like for me, it was always like 3 or 4 top quality players would make me happy. I don't think it's about quantity, it's about quality. So yeah, that's definitely a good window as long as you get those guys out. You got to get some of these dudes out.
I hear that. When Arteta said maybe a reset is needed, he wasn't effing around. That's kind of true. I mean, the Partey news took a lot of Gooners by shock over the weekend. He's now looking to bring in a right back who could theoretically push Ben White out of the team after he had a brilliant season. But I have to say, I want to ask KJ this question. Is this the type of ruthlessness that is needed to make a team champions of England again?
100%. Good is not good enough. Almost is not good enough. Like they are hunting, they are hungry for that Premier League title, and you can't fault them for doing what they're doing. Like you can't sit here and say this is stupid or they're like shopping out of their lane. No, they're sticking to a plan and a structure, and they're getting moves done. They're getting the profiles that they need for their team to work. And yeah, this is definitely going to be a scary, scary proposition if they continue to operate like this. The one thing I always would question about Arsenal is how much does the Conkeys actually want the Premier League? Will they actually go out and do the things they need to do? Will they sell the players they need to sell? Will they buy the players they need to buy? And over the last couple of seasons, I've been watching, and they've been doing that. And I can understand why Arsenal fans, some of them have been more supportive of the Conkeys over the last few years rather than the last 10. And this is what you need to see from a team hunting down that Premier League, trying to beat Manchester City to that league. So yeah, ruthless. This is the ruthlessness they've needed, and I hope it doesn't continue. That's how good it is.
This is another player that has Champions League experience, by the way. Like I know it's Ajax, but it's Champions League experience. We were talking about that earlier, that Arsenal are missing it. Doesn't really matter if you're 20 or 30. The experience is the experience, right? So that definitely helps, I think.
It certainly does. And a guy, Ben, in the comments here said, I don't think White gets pushed out of the team full time. He maybe doesn't, but that's but the point of Jurrien Timber is you have genuine top quality competition for these roles. Tomiyasu's still at the club as well. But equally, what it then means is, say you do get an injury to Saliba or Gabriel again. Instead of going to a Rob Holding level player, you have got Ben White that can go in the middle, Timber that can go in the middle, Tomiyasu is fit that can go in the middle. Kivior that can go in the middle. And earlier on today, it must have been the top 6 show. No, it was yesterday with Liège. Liège was like, I think Arsenal needs to strengthen at the back as much as anywhere else because you saw what that injury to Saliba did. And lo and behold, less than 24 hours later, bang, linked to, in my opinion, one of the best young defenders in European football. And I'm not going to change my tune on that because I praised him last year when he was on his way to Man United. I'm not going to do what a lot of YouTubers do and suddenly say he's rubbish because he's not linked to my club. Ivo here says it still feels weird as an Arsenal fan. We're doing the business in the transfer market and it's early. What a change this club has made in a few years. Do you feel things are very different now, Jess? Do you still feel that as a Gooner?
There were times where we weren't even involved in transfer talks at all during the summers. I remember those summers where Arsenal would get one loan player or some free signing or not get anybody in the summer window and then turn around and loan somebody in January. So yeah, things are different. And in the Emery era as well, we started to buy players, but it didn't seem like it had as much of a plan as it does now. And sometimes, yeah, you have to make mistakes to learn what works and what doesn't. I think early in Arteta's tenure, there were some mistakes, like Willian. We know 100% that didn't work out. Some of the guys, even not this last window, but the window before with Sambi didn't work out and Tavares. But everything makes sense. There's no players that come in that I'm trying to figure out, well, why would we buy a player like this? Young, talented, hungry, fit, whatever we're trying to do in terms of on the pitch. And so, yeah, I think things have changed. The only difference between last summer and this summer is that there's an anticipation and a requirement to buy Rice. That's going to be our transfer, the most expensive transfer that we've ever done. That's where I think we really see the change is if Arsenal can actually get a big deal like that done. But in terms of from last season and the season before, hell yeah, we're definitely moving differently. I think it's obvious. Saka would have been at somebody else's club by now.
Oh, 110%. I know you and I have had this conversation many times, Jay, around when do Arsenal look different? And I said in December, I got why fans were saying, I think that the Cronkies have changed. I think we're moving in the right direction. And I just said, look, believe it, but you keep your foot on the neck. You don't release that tension. And this summer, I think what you're doing with the players like Saliba, like Saka, like Odegaard, you're not letting nobody come in and turn their head. You're giving them big money as well. And then you're going out into the market and say, listen, and Arsenal fans won't agree with every single deal that you're looking at. But you're saying, right, I want him. And the club's saying, yes, sir, bang, let's do it. And the fact that you are probably going to break the British transfer record with the signing of Declan Rice. If it's 101 million, like a few credible journalists have quoted, it's 1 million more than Jack Grealish. It means you're going to break the British transfer record. And I'm not going to lie to you. I never felt like Arsenal would ever be the team to be the ones breaking the British transfer record. It always felt that would be an Arsenal, a City, or a Chelsea thing to do. Arsenal never really. You spent a lot on Pepe, but Arsenal never really were that team. And I know for years I had fights with so many of my friends that were Arsenal fans who said, yeah, but we celebrate not doing it like everybody else. And I used to look at them like they were Martians. I genuinely would look at them like they were Martians. I used to think to myself, why are you celebrating coming second, coming third, coming fourth, but having great net spend? And look, yeah, but we spent we spent 400 million less than Man United in the last 10 years. Yeah, but we've won, 12, 13 more trophies, including Champions Leagues. It never made any sense celebrating that. The way I now see Arsenal moving, it's why I said it last summer. It went viral, and I'll say it again now. It's why Arsenal scare me now. And this is what I'm saying. That sometimes people just hear it, and because of their beta mentality, they go, oh, I'm not scared. I'm not hiding under my bed. You're not looking. You're so shrouded with hate that you are not noticing the real differences in the way Arsenal are operating as a football club. They're not doing it how they were doing it under Wenger. They're doing it in a very different way. They're behaving like a giant club. And in my lifetime, or my kind of teens and my adult life, Arsenal haven't behaved like one of the giant clubs. They behaved like a big club, but they've always fallen short, lost their best players to rivals consistently, not paid the big bucks for players, not signed the best youngsters around. How many stories, Arsenal fans, Have you heard about just missed out on Zlatan, just missed out on Yaya, just missed out on Ronaldo? You're not doing that anymore. You're signing the Salibas. You're keeping the Sakas. You're getting Jurrien Timber. Of all the teams linked to Declan Rice in the last 4 years, no one, up until a year ago, nobody would have predicted Arsenal were going to get him. To look at that and not recognize it as different, to think Arsenal are just going to fall off again this year, for me, the mind boggles. Like, KJ, like, you're a rival. How do you see it?
Yeah, I see it as Arsenal in the direction that their club status like deserves. This is how they should have been moving for the last 20 years. And it's frustrating in terms of I'm seeing my team go through like whatever kind of transfer takeover sagas. We want certain players, we can't afford them. And the way that Arsenal have managed their turbulent time and now look like they're coming out of it, to say that they've completely come out of it is them winning the Premier League or the Champions League. That's when it's like done, like set. But right now, they look closer to it than they've ever had in the last 10 years. And as a rival looking at it, I'm just like, this is not good because we know what Arsenal can do when they're at the top. We let's not act like we've never seen Arsenal be one of the best teams in the country. We have. And it wasn't nice. You know what I mean? It wasn't good because they traditionally play good football, which they are doing now. They bring through some quality young players and they create legends of the game. That's the status that Arsenal have in the Premier League. Let's not forget this. So them returning to that slowly but surely, making these moves is a very frustrating thing for a rival. As me as a rival to see, but me as a football fan, I just have to give it the respect. I just have to respect it and be like, listen, we all want our football teams to be the best. We all can't be like Manchester City and do it like in the space of 6 years. Boom, you're there. It's gonna take time, and Arsenal and the fans have gone through it. You know what I mean? They've gone through it, and now they're coming. It looks like the light is finally about to be at the end of the tunnel. And fair enough. Arsenal fans enjoy. You may frustrate me online and on Twitter. You might have all them troll accounts that just get underneath everyone's skin. But for the fans like Jess, for the fans like Brandon, for the fans like, even Igal.
Not even Igal.
I am happy for you guys. And I hope it all crashes and burns next season. But
that's always how I am. I'm like, I always hope something bad happens to the rivals. But yeah, I get you. Yeah, like obviously the deals have to get wrapped up and stuff like that, but you like to see that the club is working on things and they're confident that things will get done. And yeah, this is for the people that were saying that we couldn't do multiple things at one time, because I was seeing that we can only do one deal at a time. We put in 3 bids for 3 different players in like a week. Calm down. Like, just let things cook for a minute. Some of the meltdown and head loss that I've seen over the last couple of weeks, some people, they really need to maybe seek some therapy. Look at the Calm app. I have it on my phone. You can meditate and listen to music and stuff like that and just really like center yourself, because not 48 hours.
What's that oil called? What's that oil? Is it CBD oil or something?
Yeah, get you some CBD oil.
Some of that.
Chill the F out. Like,
some people need to, because I've not. Again, like, I understand like rivals like getting it at each other and being upset and all these. I understand all of that 110%. I do, but the level of meltdowns you see nowadays online to things like people don't even read anymore. Like, legitimately don't read. So earlier on today, I did a video about the Chelsea allegations that are out there right now, and allegations of fans. People in the comments like, "How dare you say we're cheats? Did you watch the video? No. Well, I defended you. Oh, thanks, bruv." People don't read and they don't listen anymore. I actually think that 90% of people that are on Twitter don't consume content anymore. They read tweets. Like, they'll see Ornstein's tweet, but they won't click on and read the article on The Athletic. And then they'll say something about the deal that's completely wrong because they haven't read the content. They haven't absorbed it and understood it, which is just mind-boggling to me. Does that make it? It's absolutely crazy. Terry should do stand-up comedy. Scared. Oh yeah, if I did, if I was the title of the show, I'd call it Scared. That'd be a great name for it, I think. Terry, your hair's looking slick. Thank you very much, Ben. I appreciate that, mate. It's getting there. It's getting there. But one of my kids nearly pulled it out the other day. He was jumping on something and he fell and he grabbed it on his way down. Honestly, I was like, son, you have to fall. Like, you can't be pulling the hair out.
That's why he's got a side part in. It's not actually a side part. It's a on the side of his head.
Clump's missing. Here, this says Mikel Shatter, the mole's out. Romano ain't.
He's like
Yalo is convinced that nobody knows anything that's going on in our window. They don't know everything, but they know some things. Let's be real. Everybody knew about Rice, like, but like, I don't know about Fabrizio Romano. I really don't. Like, sometimes I'm like, where are your exclusives?
Fabs. Since the Jadon Sancho saga has been, I'm sorry, he's gone downhill. It's gone downhill. My brother has got to a point where he has to make up phrases to keep himself relevant. Match point, bro. What is match point when it comes to transfers? This ain't damn tennis, fam. Like, man, Fabs. Like, I was enjoying the come up. Now he's got to the top. He's gotten lazy. He hasn't got he doesn't hit the here we goes and hit no more. Because I'm just like, fam, I've heard it from 3 other journalists before you. Now you hit me with the here we go. I'm like, man. Like, come on. I need hungry Fabs again. What did I say, Terry, about fighters and MMA?
He's in silk pajamas now. He's in silk pajamas.
Yeah, that's what Fabs is, man.
Look, you know me, KJ. I got a lot of love and time for the transfer journalist, 110%. I do. Do you know what I think it is with Fabrizio? And this is just basically what I read. It's because he tweets all the time about everything. So Rashford can score a goal and new deal coming to I used to like when I wouldn't hear from him for like months and then boom, you'd see a tweet or something come out and it was kind of new and different, but it's not a hate thing. And I think that's why people kind of like Ornstein so much now, because Ornstein's almost mystical. Like, you're like, oh, when's he going to tweet again? We very rarely see it. And
he'll go days without tweeting.
Yeah,
weeks,
exactly.
No, days, weeks. Sometimes I just don't see him at all, and then bam, Ornstein exclusive. I'm just like, this player's on it.
Yeah, he is. No, I get it. I do get it. Like, I think Fabrizio is brilliant as well. Of course he is, but he's more of I look at him more as a content creator now than I do like a football journalist, and I mean that with the utmost respect. Yeah, but David Ornstein, man's become the GOAT in my opinion. But listen, the crowns can change. They can change hands. Can't wait till Hussam hits out. Arsenal are not a serious club on straight facts. Yeah, that was a soppy thing to say, Hussam. Peter here says, just to clarify, I meant 85 million for all 3. Yeah, we gathered that's what you meant. Maybe even more heading for the exit. Balogun, Cedric, Holding, possibly Tierney.
Holding has to go.
You're Terry. I don't know about you, yeah. I would actually put a cheeky bid in for Balogun still, not gonna lie. Like,
why are all these United fans talking about Balogun?
If Arsenal ain't gonna give my brother the time to be a number 9 in the Premier League, we got a spot, baby. We got a spot. I like him. He looks
that
good.
Is never happening.
Man, imagine you could have Timber if we got Balogun. That's all I'm saying. In it, because like Lee said, he's just as good as Mbappe.
Would you allow us to have a buyback clause on him? Then?
Hell no.
Well, that's the only way you're gonna get him, so we can snatch him back as soon as he gets really good. Just like, just when you thought.
I definitely wouldn't be doing that. We've got Ninos coming on to have his say. I believe he's a Gooner. I think he's a Gooner. We spoke a little while back. How you doing, mate? Welcome to the show.
Good, mate. How you going?
Yeah, I'm good. What's your take on this news? Out of the blue, Ornstein bomb. Bid in, deal advanced for Jurrien Timber to Arsenal. Talk to me.
For myself, unless the person's in an Arsenal shirt, I don't get too excited when it comes to transfers because I've seen this stuff happen many, many years. I'm actually 38 at the moment, so I've been years and years following Arsenal, and the same thing has happened over and over again. So unless I see the guy in a jersey, it's not really anything interesting to me. But I wanted to really touch base on something you said about the Partey situation, Thomas Partey.
Yeah.
And now everyone's using him as a scapegoat at the moment. And I think that's what they do with players like that. Every single time something goes wrong, rather than holding management to account as well, because Arteta has not been held to account for any bad decisions he's made. You know, coming into the season in January, we were 50 points. You know, we were clear of hitting the 100-point mark. And one of our best players was Thomas Partey. He was one of the big reasons why we're in that situation. And I think him falling off was not because he's a bad player. I think it was during that January transfer window, we didn't get any coverage, because that's where we were lacking. We were lacking in the midfield. We were lacking in the defense. We didn't cover for Jesus when he was out. We kind of went with Eddie and Ketia. We made the bids. We made the bids for midfield, but we just didn't follow through. And then at the end of it, it's, you know, we lost the season to games like West Ham. It was a missed penalty by Saka. Games like Southampton, attack didn't do enough to score any goals. Newcastle, we didn't score any goals. These are the games that we should have put in the bag, and we just didn't. And that's what ends up happening. You end up blaming players like Partey. Partey should still be in the team. I think this team's growing, and having someone with his experience will help. Getting rid of Partey would be probably the worst decision we can make.
Jess, I'm going to let you respond to that, because
Okay.
you're the Arsenal fan here. Like, what's your take on that?
I mean, well, you named a couple of games there where we didn't score goals, but we scored 2 goals against Newcastle, so that don't count, you know. But in terms of, like, you have to hold management to account, and it's about the goals, and Saka missed the penalty. But in all of those games, like against Southampton, against West Ham, against Liverpool, we scored 2 goals, 2 goals, 3 goals. I'm very sorry, but we shouldn't have to score 4 or 5 goals a game to win. Really, for me, our main issue is that we couldn't defend to save our lives. And part of that had to do with the fact that we didn't have anything better than Holding, which Holding should have been moved on. Like, I think a lot of us know that. We should have had a different option there. We should have had the ability to move Ben White central and have another right back. So, yeah, we were short there. But some of that was on the fact that Thomas Partey he had head loss during some of those games. Against West Ham, I mean, you can't look past the moment that he tried to flick it over Declan Rice. It hits Declan Rice and he acts like it hit his hand, and then, you know, then the penalty happens. Like, yeah, Saka missed the penalty, but there are also things that he did, and there's things that everybody did. But I don't know if Thomas Partey would be being let go because he made those mistakes and fell off at the end of the season. I just genuinely think, like, they don't want to extend his contract. And I don't know that, as good as he's been, I don't know if he's done enough to extend him beyond this point. He's on 250 grand per week. He's one of our highest earners. And if a team like Saudi Arabia, or a team from Saudi Arabia, is willing to give you like 40 something million for Thomas Partey, I think you take it at this point. Fans are always complaining about how we don't sell players and we don't get any money for them. It's because we wait till it's too late. So I hear your point on, like, he's a scapegoat and it's everybody's putting it on him. It's definitely not just on him. It's on everybody. It's some of the players in attack, defense, the management. But moving him on, I don't think has anything to do with that. I just think they don't feel like there's any value in extending him. Would you extend him beyond this season? Would you extend him to keep him longer? 'Cause he only has 2 years left. And if you don't extend him and he doesn't leave next summer, he'll leave for free.
Well, I think leaving for free is worth winning a title. You know, let him leave for free and winning a title within this next 2 years is worth it. Keeping him with the experience that he's got, with what he's done for the locker room and what he's done for Arsenal Football Club is worth it. But getting rid of him, bringing someone else in, and then restarting this project doesn't guarantee us titles either. So, you know, I'd rather keep what we've got, work with what we've got, than get rid of it. Because if you keep doing an overhaul like this and just keep bringing new players in, it's completely just going to be project after project after project. You know, and how often are we going to get it right? It doesn't matter what you spend on a player. Look at what happened with Sambi Lokonga. You bring in players like Fabio Vieira. Doesn't make a difference.
So I understand. Again, I understand what you're saying, and there's always where I agree with you in terms of where you're right is there's always a risk. you may bring in you get rid of 2 or 3 players this year, the Tierney's and the Parteys that a lot of fans want to keep, and it doesn't work. But equally, it can go in the other direction. When you said earlier that your manager, though, Arteta, has not been held accountable for any of his mistakes, genuinely, I don't mean this as a loaded question. What do you mean by that? Because from my perspective, just as an outsider looking in, I've seen Mikel Arteta, like, barring being sacked, I've seen him ridiculed by the media, ridiculed by fans, ridiculed by rivals. When you say not held to account, what do you mean? Like, directly, what do you mean by that?
I mean, give him a season. This is the last season. If you don't win the league or Champions League, you're out. That's what we need to hold ourselves to account. We need to be at that level. We're currently at that level. So if you don't win a Premier League or if you don't win a Champions League, I'm not talking about an FA Cup or a Carling Cup. You win a Champions League, you win a Premier League, or you're gone. Just like any other management across football. That's exactly what happens. Yeah, we're the only club that hold on to this dead weight constantly, no matter what it is. Whether it's players, you just said it yourself, we hold on to players and then we don't get rid of them. We do the same thing with management too. Look at Unai Emery, he was sacked for even less. So,
well, here's the thing though. It's that, like, if you're gonna say that, you know, like you use the example of like, yeah, we hold on to players too long and we hold on to this dead weight. You just gave an example of like why Thomas Partey should not be held, like why he shouldn't be held accountable. He should be then. You know what I mean? It's like you didn't want him to be held accountable because you want Mikel Arteta to be, but aren't the players accountable for not hitting their marks as well? Because, like, let's keep it real. If you're getting paid £250,000 per week, you're our highest paid player, you know, you're 30 something years old, you are more accountable than Bukayo Saka on £30,000 per week taking that penalty. And I am so sorry, but he needs to have accountability as well. Mikel Arteta, I don't think he needs to be just like sacked because he didn't meet his mark this season. He definitely needs to do a lot better. But for you to take away any accountability from Thomas Partey and say that he doesn't need to take any accountability, it should be Mikel Arteta. Like, you have to put some of the blame on the players, and you did. You put it on Saka. So what's the difference? Like, why don't you want it to be on Thomas Partey and you want it to be on Saka and Mikel Arteta? There's no equity there.
Because the coach is what the coach makes the decisions of who plays on the pitch. There was I remember there was one game, I forgot who we played against, and we had Zinchenko. We could have put Zinchenko in the center when Xhaka was sick, I think that time. We could have put Zinchenko in the center because he's inverted, and we could have put Tierney in the left back. What Arteta went and played, he played Fabio Vieira, and we ended up losing that game. So what I mean by holding accountability, Thomas Partey has a role on the pitch to play football. He doesn't make decisions who's on the pitch and who's not and who's around him. When you're playing Thomas Partey, I know it was end of the season, but when you're playing Thomas Partey in the right back and making him look even worse than he was looking in the last 3 games, it doesn't work like that. You know, the guy had, if you can say, he had 85% of a great season. And to hold him to account and say, when it comes down to the big games, people do this all the time. It comes to Messi as well. They say, oh, in big games, these players don't perform. But they perform in games that they need to, where they play. Sometimes people it's out of their hands. If as a player, you can only do as much as you can when you're playing football.
I get where you're coming from. The only thing that's, again, a little confusing to me is you're sort of saying that Partey shouldn't be a scapegoat, but as Jess said, but maybe Saka should be. Or
no, not at all. Not at all. I think everyone's to blame.
But this is the thing, though. I see a lot of Arsenal fans like yourself say people should be held to account. It looks like Tierney's lack of fitness or Tierney's inability to control the ball in the middle, control the game in the middle, Partey's inability in those big key moments, the manager is holding them to accountability. Now, I get what Arsenal fans are looking for. We want the manager held to accountability as well. And I think he will be. But so far, I think anyone who wanted your manager sacked has been proven wrong so far by your growth. Now, over the next 2 years, you don't start winning major trophies, then you could argue that it was a mistake to keep him on. You genuinely can. I personally, just from the outside looking in, with the players you've renewed, the money you're now spending, the contracts you're giving out, the position you're now in as a club again, I don't understand what the negativity is being an Arsenal fan right now. I honestly don't know. I feel like you guys should be all sunshine and rainbows. You know, barring City, you're one of the best positioned teams in this country to go and challenge. If you bring in these signings that you're linked with today, and I know you said like new signings don't mean much to you until they're holding the shirt, and I kind of respect that. But at the same time, you can't be asking for your club to improve it and not be interested in like who you're linked to and who you might buy. It feels to me like you are buying some real quality as well. And if you add more quality to this team, if you hold 2 or 3 players to account like you're all demanding and raise those standards and show people that if you don't deliver consistently enough, you'll be out the door. You're only going to get better. That like you guys have been demanding this level of ruthlessness, and it almost feels a little bit like, well, I know the manager's now being ruthless, but that's hypocritical because he weren't sacked when he did something bad. I just don't quite get the frustration, my friend.
So when you say we're in the market for targets, like mid window January, we were in the market for targets. We never are able to get our first target, no matter what it is.
Jesus
It's been like that for years.
Jesus was our number 1 target. We actually knew about that before the season ended, the season prior, and we got him.
Let's give you that one. What about when it comes to midfield? When it came to the January transfer window, we went for Douglas Costa. We went for who else did we go for? We went and put a bid for Caicedo. We didn't get any of them.
We went for Douglas Luiz at the very end of the transfer window because El Neni had gotten a long-term injury. That's literally the only reason why we went in for him. He wasn't for sale. But I don't like removing context just so that we could lump everything together and be upset about things because it's kind of like the thing to say we never get our number 1 targets. That's just like factually, that's not true. We missed out on Caicedo because he wasn't for sale. We missed out on Douglas Luiz because he wasn't for sale. We were willing to pay way over either one of their market values in order to get them. Caicedo's probably worth about 60 million. We went in with like 75. Douglas Luiz was worth like 20, and we went in with like 40. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, that's not missing out on your number 1 target. That's going after it and not being able to get it done. Mudryk is pretty much one of the only, like in this regime, where we didn't get our number 1 target because we weren't able to beat Chelsea out in terms of the structure of the deal. It's fact. Like for me, it's not really factually true that we just missed out on our number 1 targets. Like it's just something that people say because it sounds cool, like, or it sounds like super negative, but it's not true. Like it's just.
All right, I'll rephrase that. We never get targets we bid for if someone else comes in for. Okay. It happened with Rafinha. It happens all the time.
Rafinha, you can't say Rafinha. Chelsea didn't even get Rafinha. He never wanted to go anywhere but Barcelona. That's the only place he wanted to go. Like, are you really going to blame the club for that?
But you guys outbid. You guys beat Spurs and Chelsea to Gabriel Jesus. Like they both wanted him.
You beat Man United to Gabriel, your centre back, because he was looking at him. I mean, it's a contract renewal, but Man United came in for Saliba the other day, and there was a no on that. I mean, off the top of my head, I don't remember who everybody was completely linked to, but you know, I understand where you're coming from with that. Sometimes you don't land these players. I get that, but I don't understand. Again, that's not really the manager's fault per se. Maybe you could argue he doesn't have as much pull as a superstar manager, and he can't bring them in. So I kind of get where you're coming from with that element there. But at the same time, like right now, you're leading the race for Declan Rice over Man City, which is huge. You're coming in for Lavia, who Chelsea want, and let's see by the end of this window. But I think the reason why you missed out on maybe some of those players in recent years is because Arsenal were in the mud. And
but what happens if we miss out on Declan Rice?
Well, but then be angry. But why be? My thing to you, brother, you do look angry tonight. I mean, you've come on the show before. I mean, with all due respect, before you miss out on him, why sit there and be angry? I don't. Because on a real level, I don't get it.
Do you know why I'm angry? 20 years of no Premier League title is why I'm angry. How can I not be angry? If you're telling me as an Arsenal supporter I can't be angry, then
Lee, take off your mask, Lee. I know you were there. Lee.
I will say this, right? I get what you're angry, but I hope Lee's not watching because I was going to use this on him tomorrow. He said last week that he's angry because of the promises made in 2004 when you moved stadiums, right? Or 2005, whenever you moved. The problem is no one running your club now, really, especially not Edu and Arteta, made those promises to you, did they? What they're doing is fixing the mess that was created by their predecessors. So for me, it's a case of I still think they've done enough in the last. Listen, the first couple of years were horrendous, but I feel the growth over the last couple of seasons should be enough to give you all an element of, okay, I'm just going to sit back and at least stay relaxed with this, but we'll see what happens. Listen, great call, great challenge, my friend. I really do appreciate it, brother. And we'll chat again soon. Top
Thanks,
man.
guys.
Thank you. Cheers, mate. Thank you. We have some super chats here. This one says Arsenal are cooking. According to that man, they burnt it already, according to Nino. This is another Arsenal fan who simply emotes instead of thinking. He's the same fan that will complain about us not selling well. Look at the cons, please. Stop milking Arsenal. Just a rumor comes online. Oh, it's Nabil. Just a rumor. Ornstein, Nabil. Yeah, okay, mate. Sorry, but stop milking Arsenal. I say this then. Other clubs make bigger headlines and make more news trend than Arsenal, and I'll talk about them less. You know what I'm saying? It's as simple as that. Chelsea are a disgrace. They should get the same stick that we give City because they are 100% breaching FFP. The whole lot needs to F off, is what Steve says.
Is salty as hell.
Yeah. Lee's disciples come in all shapes and forms, crying about everything all the time. And as I say, I just didn't. I got what he was saying. Like, I understood his logic.
Yeah,
but I just don't understand tonight of all nights. You're very close to Rice. You don't want Havertz, but your manager does, and he's a number one target for you. You want him. By the way, you've beaten Bayern Munich to him because he's told Bayern Munich, no, I want to go Arsenal. At the moment, Rice is saying no to everybody but Arsenal, and they look miserable. But is it because, do you think there's a miserable nature to some Arsenal fans? Because if you pull some of these deals off, they have less to moan about because the things they say you never do are now being done.
I mean, I think there's two different kind of camps. I think there's, no matter what we do, I'm going to be upset because I want to be right, because that's all I care about. And then there's the ones that are actually really genuinely upset, but want us to do well, but aren't 100% on what we're doing, which makes sense. Like, some people just are not on it. Like, I can understand why some people are like, why don't we just get a new manager? Why don't we just do this? Why don't we just do that? Like, I get that. Like, the only thing I think that he had right was, like, I'm upset because we haven't won the Premier League in 20 years and there needs to be accountability. I hear that. But what I don't hear is, like, all these, like, things, that tropes that I hear online all the time that are easily debunked. Like, it's very easy to, like, see that we haven't lost every single primary target and lost one to anybody else that wanted to bid.
The problem, I called Lee. I said this. I called Lee this last week. Lee is a reductionist, and a lot of football fans in general are reductionists. It's almost, but we ain't won. Man United fans, we ain't won the league in 10 years. Just go and fix it. But you understand, the new board coming in, the new manager coming in, have got 10 years of failure to undo. Now, again, I'm not trying to talk down to people. Maybe you're young, maybe you haven't had the experience. If you've ever walked into a department of a huge business that's been a mess for a long time, you can't fix it in 2 weeks. I know Lee said he turned sales teams around in 2 weeks. Yeah, sales team. If the whole company was about to go bankrupt, save that in 2 weeks. If the whole company was rotten from top to bottom, you're not turning it around in 2 weeks. It's impossible. It takes time. Turning a club like Arsenal around from where they were at the end of Wenger and Emery, it's like trying to turn an oil tanker in the sea while it's moving at 40 knots in one direction. It takes time to slow it down, turn it around sensibly. You can't just do it overnight. It's not an agile thing to do. Cam's here with us. We're going to finish some of these super chats here. Stop that BS. Who says we will win the Champions League in 3 years? To William. Jess, what happened to you? Pretend to win the EPL after the 19th game. You disappeared.
Yeah, I took my what do they call it? A mini retirement.
Sabbatical.
Yeah, mini sabbatical. Yeah, needed a little break.
On a sabbatical. All right, Ross Geller. The mess Raul Gazidis and our previous team has been fixed greatly by Edu, Mikel, Richard Garlick, etc. And I agree. And that's the thing for me. I don't also understand how you can hold the current. I get that you as an Arsenal fan haven't changed who you are for 20 years. But if it's different people running it, trying to fix the problems of the people that lied to you, surely you give the new people more time. And for say this group fail as well, and you end up in a worse situation than when Arteta took over. Say you did. then the new group may have to take even longer to fix it. Like, the longer it goes on, the bigger the problem. But yeah, there we go. Arsenal haven't won or challenged for any major titles in 20 years. They challenged this year. Where do these Arsenal fans get this notion that we are Real Madrid all of a sudden? Well, yeah, I hear you. And that's always when I get the example from Lee. We want to be like Real Madrid, but you're not Real Madrid. You never were Real Madrid.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I don't get it. This year says Arteta sexuals will focus excuses for 20 more years on spinning in the mud. They're better off making an episode of
appointment at my office.
My office. Oh yeah, Dr. Seymour Butts. Heads so far up their own bottoms is what he's saying there. Thank you, Seymour Butts. And you must have seen a few of them, but look at that picture. Terry, I feel sorry for Erik ten Hag. I feel he is going to be a rough summer. Next season will be difficult for.
Why?
Okay, so Cam might be. I don't know where Cam sits in all this. I think he's more relaxed than anything. I'm pretty much there. Like, I'm waiting to see what unfolds, because last summer was the same start. It's not going to go right. We're not going to sign anyone. And next thing you know, we signed 6 players, spend 200 plus million. I'm getting frustrated, but at the same time, I know that there's a takeover that's happening. I don't understand it whatsoever. So I'm not going to be like Nino, who's just been on, and just be angry from the start of the window. I'm just gonna let it play
Before it
out.
even starts. Oh Jesus!
Let it play out, and then
let it cook. Let it cook.
I sit in the same spot. Like I'm like, the takeover was never going to happen quickly. I don't know why people thought. I get it. Like, this is the problem with social media and PR. Everybody was talking about it. It's been on everybody's lips. So it was like, why isn't it done yet? $6 billion is about to change hands. Like, it was always going to take a long time, right? Like, it's like,
put it that way.
You know what I mean? Like, it was always going to take a while. And I think once it happens, we'll be all right. That's where I'm at. There's no point there's no point in being upset right now. Because then if I get upset now and then everything works out later on, it was just wasted energy. Like, I can at least wait till August to start being a little antsy, you know?
Thank you.
Like, the point of, if I freak out now and then August comes and I'm like, oh, I just wasted all this negative energy.
You ruined your summer.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, no, I ain't got time for that. I believe we'll get the things done that we need to at least stick in and around the race. I can't talk about what those things are until I see them. Like, and that's where it's at. Like, I'm one of those people, and I actually came on here to talk to you about the Arsenal stuff because I want to be on Man United. But quickly, I'm on one of those people who, like, the Mount news. I'm like, cool. If we get him, I look forward to seeing what he might do in our system. I'm not freaking out. I'm not one of these people who are like, our summer's over. It's just Mason Mount. He's English. Like, English people have a weird bias, dude. Like, you guys are weird sometimes. Like, if he's an English player, you hate him. Like Declan Rice, he could end up being a better signing than a lot, like basically everybody else in the window for Arsenal. And everybody over there is like, oh, well, he's English, so I don't rate.
Well, what about Declan Rice? We're gonna be really.
Actually, Arsenal fans we are like full Jude Bellingham to Liverpool. Like, we're in there. I don't know very many Arsenal fans that are not dying for Declan Rice right now.
Y'all better get him though. I'm talking about everybody else.
They are. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. No, I hear you. I'm the same with Mount. I'm more frustrated that the moment we couldn't get Kim done. We're having to pull out of the Kane situation. We want to bid for Rice, but we can't even get involved because the money isn't there. However, you still have to look at the wider picture. That's why I've said all of last season, I'm ring fencing what Ten Hag's doing from the mess the club was in, because he isn't like someone was in my mentions today and they couldn't fathom my moaning about the Glazers. They're like, but your manager got 200 million last year, so why are you complaining? I said, because the squad I said to him, did our last 3 managers foul? He went, yeah. Did they leave us in a really bad position? Yeah. So this manager has to fix all of that, doesn't he? Yes. So when you think about how much money Pep has spent on his squad, he said it's been consistent spending for 6, 7, 8 years. He's replenished some of it with sales, but he's continued to spend. Yes. So why can't Ten Hag spend? Because your club's already spent $1 billion, the same as him. I said, yes, but Ten Hag hasn't, has he? Yeah, but your club has. Yeah, and you just said that all those projects failed and we need to keep reinvesting. I don't know whether he couldn't get it or whether he was deliberately not understanding it. But this is the thing. I ring fence what Ten Hag's doing away from the previous failures before him because he's got nothing to do with it. It's completely irrelevant. And yes, I understand 19, 20 years of not winning a league title, but that's not on that's not Arteta's fault. Now you could argue the last 3.5, 4 seasons are partly or fully on him, but at the same time, he's rebuilding from that mess that you guys were desperate to get out of. And I don't know. For me, I understand they talk about we want to be like Bayern, we want to be like Real Madrid. You've got to become the best team first and then maintain it. They,
Terry, do you think
there's a step
all
process.
things being equal with Kim and Jay, all things being equal, because this is where I struggle. We would have got him if Bayern didn't, like, you know what I mean? Like, regardless of the takeover. Because
if Man United were still competing for Premier Leagues and Champions Leagues, we want.
No, I don't mean that part. No, I mean like where we're at now, because what people are saying, oh, the takeover's not done, so we weren't able to bid early. I'm saying if Kim had Bayern come to his door today alongside of us and they said, wait till the release clause comes out, how do you think he would respond?
I think there's two things that could happen. One, if we have new owners in, you can sell a new dawn. You can sell a new dawn, a new vision, where we're going. You want to be part of this. The same as Newcastle were able to do, City were able to do in their early days. But imagine Man United having that same sales pitch. The second element is the money would have been there and we could have gone, right, Napoli, 2 weeks ago, we'll pay you above the asking price to get it done now. And then you get the guy off the market. So I think we could have done, but equally, Man United is still going to struggle against the Bayerns, the Barças, the Real Madrids, the Cities. When you go head to head, unless you want to pay ridiculous amounts of money more, which we don't want to do again, we're always going to struggle until we're back challenging. And that's why, by the way, every transfer window gets better and better for Arsenal. Because where they were 4 years ago compared to now is different. So that's why they're able to do, I think if Arsenal would have gone for Timber 2 years ago, he'd have gone, why would I join Arsenal right now? But now you're in Rice wouldn't have joined Arsenal 2 years ago. He will now.
So quick, I want to get this over on camera because sorry if you talked about Havertz and I apologize. I only saw you.
Oh my goodness. Are you really going to go into Havertz?
Let's talk about this real quick. Kai Havertz, who all of a sudden, Kai Havertz, the player who anybody who's watched this show knows how I feel about Kai Havertz. Potentially one of the worst Premier League transfers in the last 4 years or 3 years, whatever it is since he's came. All of a sudden gets linked to Arsenal. And he's the savior. He's going to be this great left center attacking mid. He's going to be this saucy ball player with wicked finishing who's going to connect everything. Something we've never seen. Never seen. All of these skills, all of these talents that Kai Havertz apparently has. And then I get everybody going, well, look what he did back at Leverkusen. No, we're not doing that because we can't do it about what's his name, Jadon Sancho, and be like, look what he did. But Timo Werner, he's already gone. It doesn't matter what they've done in the Bundesliga. It's what they've done here. And we've seen what Kai Havertz done here, and it's nothing. So I'm really excited that you're going to spend $60 million on him. That's crazy. And that you think he's going to be the savior for you. Because I honestly think he gets relegated to the bench. And like I said, I got 100 on it with you. 100 USD that he will have a worse season than Granit Xhaka did this year. 15 GA, you are brave. 15 GA, it's not happening. 10, you'll be happy if he hits 10. And I'll hold my hands up if I'm wrong, but I'm putting that on camera. You're gonna look at it like,
it's not that difficult to figure out what's gone on with Kai Havertz. I mean, I get that you're trying to be like, well, what about Sancho? What about Sancho? It's probably just, I don't know. Sancho's just, he's there. And the fact is, it's just like Arteta's a miracle worker and he's got this. Like, I have faith in my manager. I do. Just because Ten Hag couldn't get a tune out of Sancho doesn't mean Mikel Arteta can't get a tune out of
Listen. One for one. Don't worry about Sancho. I know Terry wants to ship him to Saudi Arabia. I'm not saying you, but I'm saying Terry wants to ship him off to Saudi Arabia. Yo, keep that shipping note here. We cooking. Second of all, if Arsenal was in for Sancho, would you have the same tune?
No, I don't know if I would.
So how's he a miracle worker if he can't work? You put up way better numbers than Kai.
You would do though. I think whenever you get linked to something, you go right, especially Sancho and players like him, players that have been good, very good before.
Yeah,
there's always like, oh, what if we like rejuvenate them? Nabil here with a super chat says, serious note, I'm cool with Man United not signing any players as long as the Glazers are out completely and Qatar buys it. They need at least 2. I will say that as well. If it does happen too late, again, it's just more testament to people like me that we all should have pulled our money ages ago. They'd have been gone. Equally, this, as much as I want to be at our best next year, if the Qataris come in, it's about the long term. Does that make sense? It's about, do you know what I mean?
I've heard this quite a bit. The whole don't sign anyone, but the Qataris come in, it's fine. It's all good. Why if we don't sign anyone and say it's Sir Jim? That's what I'm like.
Well, yeah.
But
no one's talking about that because they know people like me are going to hold them to account. They'll be like, if we get Sir Jim, I'm going to be fuming. Yeah, but you're still going to go to games, buy the shirts, become a member. Yeah. Listen to the press conferences, still go, interview the players at the ground, whatever it is you do. You're not going to change. You're not going to do anything to fight back, are you? So stop your moaning. If Timo Werner went to Liverpool, he would still be there. Chelsea is a graveyard for forwards.
It could be true. That's not fair. They create.
I mean, the thing is that like you sat there and you were like, "Oh, I'm not mad about Mount. It's fine. He'll probably be good at Man United." You have a different tune because he's going to your club.
No.
I want to have. I don't care. I'm gonna blanket statement. Everybody at Chelsea: Sterling, Lukaku, Havertz, Mount. All of them fell off of a cliff at the exact same time. All attackers, all crap, all at the same time. New lease of life at Arsenal. Let's see how it goes.
No, Kai fell off 2 years ago. What do you mean? Mount had 2 really good years. Like this is what kills me.
Then why did Chelsea fans hate him then? They ran him out. He had to deactivate his Twitter because they hate him so much. Like,
oh, come on, Jess, come on. You know.
I love Mount. I think Mount is a very good player. I think he'll do good for Man United. But I think a lot of this extra talking about it and stuff like that is more a sign of, I think when you're confident about something, you're a little bit more quiet because everybody wants to get on here and, Havertz is going to be crap. I don't know.
I hear you on that.
It's definitely you though, Cam. It's definitely you. You've spoken about it 5 days in a row.
Yeah.
It's the
main topic on the brain. Top of the brain.
This super chat here says that cooking must not have fuel because it's been 3 years on that stove for Sancho. KJ is what I'm going to tell you.
It's been 2 years for one. And don't worry, the bold oil, that Ten Hag used to shine his head. Hey, listen, he's using that to reduce.
I still love how KJ says bold instead of bald. It makes me die. I was like, man's bold. Listen, I want to say, hang on a minute. Jess, bin, loan, keep, Arsenal edition. Not right now because it's midnight here. I've been on for an hour and 12 minutes. I want to go to bed.
Bin Cam, loan KJ, keep Terry.
You have to say that. No, you have to say that. Tell us how you really
there is a park bench 30 seconds from here. She can go sleep on that tonight if she would like. Do you know what I mean? It's warm night out here in the UK. It's a brilliant summer here right now. But listen, viewers, hit the like button before you leave. We're back tomorrow with more content in the morning. Me and Lee Gunner live 3:30. I'm sure there's going to be lots to delve into with me and Splinter, the king of the rats. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again very, very soon. Peace.